Okay, so I think someone had a question on the previous slide. Let me go back to that. Oh, darn it. Then we'll go over that example. Okay, so what was your question?
So for you to get 16,
I can't hear you.
for you to get a 16, you have to multiply 4 times
What?
2. For you to get 16, you have to multiply 4 times 2, right?
Down here?
Yeah.
4
Oh, no,
squared times 2, yeah.
4 times 4. Okay, wait. 4 times 4, and then the 2. Okay, never mind.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. It's just hard for me to hear you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right. Let's do this one together. Okay, let's do this one together. Okay, so basically, again, it's just using really that same formula that was on the previous slide. It was using the same formula that was on the previous slide now. So for the first pool, we're given that the radius is 4 inches and the height is 5 inches, okay? So how do we get the volume? We're going to use this formula here, pi r squared times the height. And again, that's because we have a cylinder, okay? That's because we have a cylinder. Okay, so we plug it into the formula basically. We have pi times 4 inches squared times 5 inches, okay? Times that. So now if you do that in your calculator, you get pi times 4 squared times 5. That turns out to be pi times 80. And again, it's cubic inches, so it's really just using the calculator. And if you do 80 times pi, you're going to get about this number. Approximately that. Okay. All right. Here we have pi times 5 squared. So now for the second pool, the radius is now 5 inches. The height is 4 inches, okay? So now we're going to have pi times 25, times 5 squared inches times 4 inches. So we're going to get pi times 5 squared is 25, 4 is 16. But if you multiply it, no, excuse me, 4, it's not 16. You have 5 squared, which is 25 times 4, which is pi times 100 cubic inches. And if you do that 100 times pi, this is what you get. So these are the numbers that you should get. So, okay. All right. Are there any questions on this slide? I mean, I hope everyone got this. All right. Okay, so let me get to the other slide. Let me get to that now. Here we go. Hold on, let me share it. So here we're now going to start chapter 2, okay? So in this chapter, all right, basically what we're going to look at are different units of measurement. You know, basically we're going to look at different units of measurement that we can use for length, for weight, and capacity. You'll see that capacity is actually how much liquid an object can hold. It's very similar to volume. It's not quite the same thing though. Length, we actually saw some units already. We saw centimeters, we saw meters, we saw feet, things like that. Okay? For weight, you know, we'll see different units there, mostly pounds or kilograms. I don't remember what the units for capacity are, but we will see them later on, probably not today. And now what we're also going to see is the metric system. We're also going to see the metric system, and we're going to see how to convert between the metric system to what the United States uses, which is the imperial system. I think almost the rest of the world uses the metric system. And the United States and 2 other countries, I don't remember which 2 they are, but we use what's called the imperial system. So we'll see though, you can convert from one to the other. Okay. But that's what we have, these systems of measurement for length, weight, and capacity. So we will see that today. Not all of that. And now, what exactly is length though? It's essentially just distance, like the length of a line segment, the distance from one end to the other, right? From one object to another, okay? The distance from one object to another, okay? Or from one end of an object to the other end. That's probably better for a line segment, from one endpoint to the other endpoint. That's what it is here. So that's what the distance from one, so that's what length is. It's just distance essentially. How long an object is. Or for a line segment, for instance, from one endpoint to the other. And these are actually the different units that we use. We use feet, we use inches, yards, and miles. Okay? That's what we use here. And you can actually convert from one to the other, mostly as you can see here using these unit equivalents. If you have a distance in feet, you could actually convert that to inches or yards or miles. You could actually convert from one unit to the other. We can convert from one unit to the other. And the way we actually do it is we form these, well, there's different ways of doing that. We're going to use these conversion factors. Right, so basically we're starting out with this, equation, and essentially we're going to divide. And really, depending on the problem we're going to solve, that will determine which conversion factor we use. Generally, what's going to happen is the unit you want your answer to have, or be in, that's the same unit in the numerator. So if you want your answer to be in inches, this is what you would use to convert from feet to inches. Or if you want your answer to be in feet and you're starting out in inches, here. It's on the slide, but let me just show you. We're using feet and inches, right? So we know we have to stick with the first row here. We got to stick with the row here. Now notice we're starting out in feet and we want our answer to be in inches. I know it's on the slide, but that's how I know to use this one. We want our answer to be in inches, the numerator, so we're using this. Okay? That's what we get. That's what we get here. So what we do, and now how do we convert? We just multiply, as you can see. So we have 4 feet. We're going to multiply by 12 inches over 1 foot. 4 feet times 12 inches over 1 foot. Okay? And now why does that help us? Well, notice down here the units are going to cancel. Hold on, let me just fix this. Let me just move it. This is correct. I just want to see if I can move it to make it nice. There we go. There we go. I just wanted to move it to make it a little bit nicer. Okay? So that's what we have here. So the unit feet and foot, I know feet is I think technically plural. We can still cancel it with foot. And so what we end up with is just inches. And that's really just a factor label method. So we end up getting 48 inches. It's just multiplying. And what has to happen is the unit you want your answer to be in, that's what's on top, the numerator. And the other unit has to cancel. And this is really what the factor label method is. So we end up getting 48 inches. Okay. So that's what we get here. We get 48 inches. So it's just multiplying. That's really what it boils down to. Okay. Are there any questions on this? Okay. Let's do another one then. So now we're going to ask how many feet are there in 15.5 inches. So notice here we have inches. We want our answer in terms of feet. We want to go from inches to feet, right? So we're going to use this one. I tried saying this last semester, and I hope it helps as well. We're going from inches to feet. We're going from down up. I mean, I don't know if that helps or not. To say it as an explanation, that is. But we want our answer to be in feet there. So that's why we're using this unit. This, this conversion factor. Okay. So what do? We're basically going to multiply. Now, we have a mixed number here. If you have a mixed number, which is something like this, you have a number and a fraction, you want to convert that to a fraction now. Okay? You want to convert that to a fraction. Okay? That's what you want to do. And how do you do that? I hope you guys remember, but let me just say it quickly. What you do is you take the denominator, you multiply it by the number in front. In this case, you'll get 30, and then you add the numerator. 2 times 15, 30, plus 1, 31. So that's what we get here. 2 times 15 is 30, plus 1 is 31, so we get 31 over 2. So we have 31 over 2 inches, and we want to know how many feet that is. So again, we're going to use this conversion factor, right? We know it's inches and feet, so we have to use something in the first row here. But since we want our answer to be in feet, that's why we're using this one. The unit you want your answer to be in, that's the numerator. We're going to multiply by this. And you can see that the units, we don't want inches, right? That's going to cancel. Okay, so those cancel. So we're going to end up with 31 over 2 times 1 over 12, right? We have 1 over 12. We multiply those, and this is what you get. I don't know what that is as a decimal. I didn't convert it, but that should be fine. Okay. Okay. Any questions on this one? Let me just say also that if you happen to use the wrong unit conversion by mistake, conversion factor, so if you had this one instead, if you tried multiplying by 12 inches over 1 foot, what would happen is your units would not cancel. That's just something to, hopefully you can see that. It might take a little bit of practice, but if you use the wrong conversion factor, the units would not cancel. So here's another one. So this is actually a problem from the book that I got. Let's assume the length of one student desk was 22 inches, okay? Now, if you decide to line up 5 of those desks, right? Let's find out what the total length is in feet, okay? Let's find out what the total length is in feet, okay? Okay, well, first let's find out how much, let's first find out what the total length is in inches, right? That's what we start out in. That's our unit we start out in. Well, each desk is 22 inches, right? Wait, hold on. Sorry, let me skip the recording.